Hi, this is Mike at Premium Crickets. We have Robert Johnson here, who is the developer of the Robert Johnson collection of bearded dragons you see on the website, and of course, my dragon, Hoover. This discussion is going to be about water and how to hydrate your bearded dragon. You don't want to overhydrate them, but you don't want to underhydrate them. And there's a lot more to keeping these things than I thought when I got this fella. So I want Robert to sort of give us an overview of how do you keep them hydrated but not too hydrated. How often should you bathe a bearded dragon, and how should you bathe a bearded dragon? So let's get started, Robert.
Okay. These guys in their natural habitat basically wake up in the morning and there's dew, just like here, all over the rock walls and their little hides and stuff like that. And they just lick the dew off of the leaves, off of the walls of their caves, off their den. They get their water pretty much that way. The rest of the day is pretty arid. And upon response, they're a movement dragon. So they see the drops of water that just runs down the leaves or the walls of the caves where they're staying at night, and they'll see that and they'll respond to it and they'll lick it off. So what we do is we try to mimic that from the time they're born by spraying in the enclosure, on the sides of the enclosure, and letting the droplets of water run down the walls. And they get to where they see that, they understand that, and they'll go lick from the walls.
Now, do you ever spray them on their face?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
We'll also spray them right on their nose, basically, and you'll see them licking it off. And you can sit there and spray them until they get disinterested, and they'll let you know that they don't want anymore. They'll close their eyes and they'll try to.
Well, it seems like with him, whenever I spray, his eyes immediately goes closed.
Yeah.
And one time he even took his back end and knocked the water off. Yeah.
If you notice it, was he licking the water off his mouth? So he probably wasn't that thirsty when you tried to. A lot of people put water containers in their cage. I don't believe it's necessary. I don't think they can see it. If you want to put a cup over that and put a small pinhole in it and let it drip into the water bowl, then they can see the movement of the water.
That's interesting. But you made another comment that you don't like water bowls in cages because they can crawl through it and leave their excrement.
They'll leave their feces in the water bowl. So if you do a water bowl, you got to definitely make sure that you keep that clean water. Yes. They'll track in it. They'll track their substrate in it. We don't use water bowls. The only thing, like you said, the only thing I got against water bowls is these guys don't care. They'll lay their feces in it along with their food bowls, and then they're drinking their own feces. So,
which you don't want to do, Hoover.
Exactly. That is not a good thing.
Now, I give him a bath about once a week.
That's a good thing.
And
one thing a bath does for these guys is it fully hydrates them. Okay?
Really?
They'll drink from the bath.
He doesn't drink, though.
Well, numbers of them will drink from the bath.
Mine doesn't.
Yeah. Stir the bath water up with your finger when he's in there. Give it some movement.
Yeah.
They don't see still objects very well. They don't recognize water. So put him in there, stir it up, give him some movement, and see if he'll start drinking from the water then.
Okay.
If he don't
and
need
the way
it,
you could tell is through his tongue, right? His tongue is going to go out and get
he'll
it.
stick his nose down in the water, and then he'll actually drink.
I mean, and I'm keeping him in the bath for 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, use room temperature water. Keep him in the bath.
Keep it warm.
Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes, and he'll be fully hydrated. If he wants to drink, he'll drink from it. If not, he'll just.
Now, do you keep an eye on your dragon the whole time he's in the bathtub?
Definitely when they're young.
When they're young. How about at this age here?
At this age, these guys are cool. They understand they'll drown. But the little younger dragons, they'll climb on top of each other sometimes,
and
hold the other guy down, and bury him in the water. So
I only have one bearded dragon, so he's not going to climb on anybody.
He's used to it.
Yeah. Now sometimes, and be careful about this, you put him in the bathtub, and all of a sudden he's going to leave a present for you in the bathtub. Why is that?
Well,
and you know what I'm talking about, the present.
He could have been in a state of impaction. In other words, he had to go, but just couldn't quite do it. And what it does is it relaxes everything down here, the abdominal muscles, and it relaxes and gives them it's kind of like a laxative to these guys.
The water is a laxative. And I've heard some of my customers say that they're actually trained their dragon to sort of act a little bit fidgety, and then they put them immediately into the bathtub, and then they let loose of their stool.
That's one way to keep your cage clean. Yeah, if you have the time to do that, it would be just like
That's the ideal way of doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's still, regardless of whether they release or not, it's good to give them a bath
At least once a week.
once a week. Okay. The other way they're going to get water is going to be through their vegetables, right?
Yes. And they'll get most of their hydration through their veggies in the morning. We always spray our babies in the morning. We spray
So you
our
get a little hand
vegetables down.
sprayer and just
We'll spray them down.
yeah.
Younger babies, when they're first born, make sure if you spray them that the water's not cold or hot. It needs to be room temperature, basically the temperature of the dragon. It'll stress them out.
Okay.
For the first week or two, it'll kind of stress them out. So make sure your water's room temperature, temperature of the dragon, and we spray them in the mornings during the feedings, and we spray them in the middle of the day. We spray them in the evenings during the evening feedings.
Okay.
So they get three sprayings a day when they're babies.
How can you tell if they're dehydrated? I mean, is it just obvious that, or
It's hard to tell.
Really?
Dehydration. Dragons will gape in their cage a lot if it's too hot.
what is gaping? What does that mean, gaping?
They thermoregulate their bodies through the outside temperature. So a way to cool their insides down is they'll open their mouths, basically, and breathe with their mouths open for a while.
I see. Okay.
Cools their insides. If the enclosure's been too hot, if they hadn't been eating their veggies like they normally should, then I'd start worrying about giving them some sprays, some extra sprays.
So if he's got his mouth open a lot,
this is a normal procedure for them.
right?
But if they're doing it for 30 minutes to an hour, they can't seem to get thermoregulated, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and hydrate the dragon.
Put him in the bathtub,
Yes, or just spray them.
or just spray him with. Okay.
In the hot summer, like it's been 98 to 100 degrees in the shade in some places this year.
Right.
Watch your cage temperatures, because you're introducing a basking light on top of a hot temperature. If your room's not controlled, these guys can overheat and they can dehydrate. So if they're thermoregulating, they're gaping with their mouth open all the time, get you a laser
Temp gun.
and see what the cage temperature is. If it's 120 degrees, there's your answer. Your cage is too hot, the guy's trying to cool down, he's doing something normal, he can't quite accomplish it because he can't escape the cage. So it's up to you to cool him down, give him some hydration, and get your cage.
So the hottest you want in that cage is?
A constant temperature in that cage shouldn't be over 100 to 105 degrees. Anything above that that remains that way for a long period of time can damage the dragon.
But in the basking area, how hot?
About 100,
105? Okay. And in the cooling area?
Cooling area 83, 85,
Okay.
around there is where we try to keep.
Okay.
You've got him caged, so he has no way to thermoregulate himself except for in a small enclosure, basically. So you got to see to it that this side and this side is what he needs to go between.
Right. And I notice he does that. After he feeds, he likes to get on his perch, sit next to the heat lamp, digest his food, and then once it's digested, he's either moving to the other side of the cage or he's going underneath his little hide area.
Yep. He's done his duty. He's ate. He's digested. Now he's just going to chill out till it's time for you to come and feed him again.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you for this little clip on hydrating your bearded dragon.